Thank you all. Thank you. Sit down unless you don't have a seat. Laura and I are thrilled to be here. I want to thank Senator Graham for his friendship, for his leadership. Lindsey loves South Carolina, and he loves our country, and we are fortunate that you send him up to the United States Senate. I want to thank the Singing Ag Commissioner. That guy's got a heck of a voice. If they ever have a contest about who can sing the best amongst the ag commissioners across America, you win. Mark Sanford's here. I appreciate Mark coming. Thank you very much for being here, Mark. There's a lot of famous people here. I got to bring up my friend David Wilkins. He's from Greenville. David was our ambassador to Canada, former Speaker of the House, and a dear friend of Laura and mine, and we want to thank you, David, for coming down to being with us. Thank you very much. There are people from the House and the Senate and state government here. Thank you all for coming, and appreciate you helping brother. I want to thank all the grassroots activists who've come. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Thank you for your interest in the political process. Thank you for your hard work for Jeb. Thank you for what you're going to do, which is to vote for him on Saturday here in the great state of South Carolina. I'm really happy to be back in this great state. I've got a lot of fond memories. I walked in the okra strut in Irmo. I was pleased they didn't make me dress as an okra stalk. I fondly remember going to the 437th and the 315th Air Wings here in Charleston. Perhaps my most interesting memory came in Greenville. Before the 2000 primary, David and Susan and I and Laura went to Tommy's Country's Ham House. And we were eating breakfast. As a matter of fact, I was eating some bacon. When I looked out the window, and a PETA protester dressed as a pig pulled up in a dump truck. He unloaded a huge load of manure in the parking lot to try to prevent me from leaving. It was kind of a sign of things to come. But let me tell you something about the Ham House. Even a steaming pile of manure can't ruin their good bacon. I love the spirit of the people of South Carolina. I'm particularly touched by the way the community banded together to comfort the victims of last year's shooting at Mother Emanuel Church. And then protest against racism and hate. It's a strong signal to the United States of America. And I applaud your governor's response to that tragedy. And I applaud you for putting her in office. Laura, American people. The presidency is often defined by the unexpected. There's going to be crises, and it's important to have a president who can handle them with calm resolve. When Americans woke up on September the 11th, we did not know that the world would forever change that day. I was sitting in a classroom in Florida, listening to a child read. My chief of staff, South Carolina graduate Andy Card, whispered in my ear, "A second plane has hit the second tower. America is under attack." My first reaction is, that's hot. We're going to deal with these people. My second reaction when I was staring at this young child is that my job became crystal clear, and that is to protect her, her community, and her country. On the way to Air Force One from that school, Condi called me and said a plane has hit the Pentagon. I felt the first one was an accident, the second was an attack, and the third one was a declaration of war. I became something that no president should ever want to be, a wartime president. And I made a lot of tough calls, every one of them with that child's image in my mind, to protect her and the country she's fortunate enough to call home. I've seen Jeb in action. He'll be a strong and steady hand when confronted with the unexpected. Multiple hurricanes hit Florida when I was president and he was governor. He led a robust, well-organized response that showed his compassion for those who hurt. He did this as governor of Florida, and he will do this as president of the United States. It is vital that you select a candidate who is thoughtful and trustworthy, someone who says what he means and does what he says. When the American president speaks, the world listens. You can trust Jeb Bush to be measured and thoughtful on the world stage. Our enemies and allies will know that when President Jeb Bush speaks, he will follow through on his words. I think you ought to look for a leader who's optimistic, with a vision for a brighter future, a person who can see beyond the horizon. When Jeb looks beyond the horizon, he sees a better tomorrow. He believes, and I believe, that America's best days are ahead of us, that we're on the verge of the greatest time to be alive in human history. And with the right policies, and with a strong leader like Jeb Bush, we can get there. An optimistic future starts with making sure our economy grows so people can find good work. We need a president who will make the private sector, not public sector, a priority. Jeb has laid out an attainable goal, a clear and easy to understand goal, which is what a leader must do, and that is to have 4% economic growth a year. The cornerstone of his policy is to empower entrepreneurs and small business owners, the dreamers and doers who drive the American economy. He laid out a specific plan, a well thought out plan, a measured plan that he will put into action when you send him to the White House. Jeb understands that the most solemn job of the president is to protect us. So your most solemn job as voters is to elect a president who understands the reality of the threats we face and who knows how to deal with them. I've studied Jeb's plan to defeat ISIS. He relies upon the military and our intelligence community. He will take their sound advice, and he will implement that plan. The types of ISIS have been defeated in the past, and they can be defeated in the future, but we need a leader who knows how to do so. Jeb understands this, and it's important for the people of South Carolina to understand this, that America must lead, and that when America does not lead, chaos will reign. Laura and I loved our 8 years in Washington, but we really don't miss it too much. We miss our friends, but we don't miss power and fame. But here's really what I do miss. Thank you, but let me tell you what I miss. You know, it's an amazing country. I made it pretty clear we're going to defend ourselves after 9/11, and millions volunteered. And to be able to salute the brave men and women who wear our uniform was an honor of a lifetime. The highest honor of being president is to be the commander-in-chief of the greatest force for freedom ever. So I would look for a candidate who has genuine respect for the United States military, who will support them on the battlefield, and when they return home. Jeb has pledged to rebuild our armed forces and overhaul the VA. And I believe him when he says it, and I know he'll do it when he's the commander-in-chief of the United States. One of the most comforting aspects of the presidency was my family, starting with my loving wife, Laura. Living in the White House can be like living in a museum. I remember the time I went to visit Mother and Dad when they were there, and Mother said, "Get your feet off the Jeffersonian table." But Laura made the White House a home. She was the greatest First Lady ever. My little sister Daro's here, and she talks to Mom nearly every day, so don't tell her I said that. Jeb adores the love of his life, Columba. I'll never forget when we were both younger, living in Houston, Texas, and we'd go to the Astro games, and we'd sit out in the bleachers. I'd watch the game, and Jeb would write love letters to his future wife and our next First Lady, Columba Bush. They've raised wonderful children. Texas Land Commissioner George P. Noel and Jeb Jr. And like Laura and me, Jeb and Columba are grandparents. He's known as Gampy. I'm known as Jefe. For those of you who are not bilingual, that means the boss. Speaking of family, I think the voters should vote for the candidate who's got the most opinionated mother. I've always wondered whether our mother learned to be opinionated at Ashley Hall right here in Charleston. Finally, we need to nominate somebody who can win in November. All the sloganeering and all the talk doesn't matter if we don't win. We need someone who can take a positive message across the entire country. Someone who can inspire and appeal to people from all walks of life, not just one party or one class of people. Jeb will listen to the voices of the disenfranchised. He will rise above the petty name-calling. And once elected, he will not need a poll or a focus group to tell him how to think or what to do. He will stand on principle. He will not waver in the wind. And he'll always do what's right for America people. Now, I know campaigns are stressful and they're taxing, but they should be, because the job of the president is much harder than the campaign. These are tough times. And I understand that Americans are angry and frustrated. But we do not need someone in the Oval Office who mirrors and inflames our anger and frustration. We need someone who can fix the problems that cause our anger and frustration, and that's Jeb Bush. Seems like Americans are yearning for a strong leader. I'd like to remind you and the voters what true strength means. Strength means facing challenges and prevailing. It means sacrificing and enduring and emerging a better and bigger person. It means having a set of core principles, beliefs that are true on the campaign trail and will be still true in office. Strength is not empty rhetoric. It is not bluster. It is not theatrics. Real strength, strength of purpose, comes from integrity and character. And in my experience, the strongest person usually isn't the loudest one in the room. I've seen in my brother a quiet conviction and a core of conscience that cannot be shaken. And my hope is that the people of South Carolina will see this as well. This is a serious election for a serious job. So please welcome a serious and thoughtful candidate, a good man, a man I am proud to call my big little brother, Jeb Bush.